Taximen on motorcycles find an abandoned building in Soka Forest, Ibadan, while searching for their friend, a fellow driver that had recently gone missing. The smell is what they noticed first. The smell like rotting flesh, old and new, among other things. It's clear to the men what this abandoned building is. To outsiders, it may not be so clear. In Nigeria, many religions are practiced, ranging from animism, the belief that all natural objects have a spirit or a soul, to Santeria, which came from Cuba, but its roots are buried deep into the Yoruba people's culture. Among those, and probably the most misunderstood and most demonized of all, is voodoo. There are, of course, reasons why voodoo may have a bad reputation or is stigmatized. Movies have been the main culprit in the voodoo is scary narrative. However, it does involve quite a bit of blood sacrifice, so I get it. Sometimes, especially in practices like juju, the more you're willing to give, the more you get back. Sometimes giving will include things that are very illegal, like kidnapping or murder. After the men found the ritualist den, word traveled fast and everywhere. Soon, hundreds of people started making their way to the location of the den. What was found inside was horrifying for everyone who was there, especially those who had friends and family that had gone missing recently. Inside was hundreds of clothing items, some soaked in various dark liquids, some ripped to shreds, some just thrown about. Personal items like glasses, passports, and some beaded jewelry. Excessive amounts of hair was also found, some still attached to the scalp. But some of the most disturbing things that were found were the large amount of children's items, clothes, undergarments, and toys. Lots of toys. It's almost like that's what they used to lure them there. Despite the rooms of decomposing bodies and body fluid covered clothes, 23 people were discovered and rescued from slabs of concrete that they were chained to. Terribly emaciated, the survivors were transported to the hospital, where one of the women would later die. Due to the terrible trauma, some of the survivors were in a complete catatonic state, not looking at or speaking to anyone. The ones that did regain consciousness told stories of being fed once a week, weekly ritual essay, torture, and murder. The survivors spoke of ritualists kidnapping people, bringing them to the forest to sacrifice them ritually, or to take their human parts. Human remains can be sold for a really hefty price on the black market. Among those arrested were 5 police officers and security guards, as there appeared to be a cave that was used to harbor criminals. The police have yet to confirm that this was in fact a ritual killer den. The locals in the area are fully convinced that it was, and they've caught them themselves, a little mob justice with an alleged ritualist. The belief in black magic is a belief system that is practiced and prevalent in many parts of Nigeria. It involves the use of supernatural powers or a spiritual force to influence or control what they're asking for. It's often associated with traditional religious practices, combining other religions using idols, animism, objects that they have taken from other people. It also involves the worship of ancestral spirits and deities. As I said before, a lot of the practices in black magic will require things like charms or amulets. They also will use animal sacrifice, human blood, or other taboo legal substances. It's really depending on what they're asking for. The practice is often considered fraud, exploitation, and involved in criminal activities. It's also illegal under Nigerian law. It's so bad that the Nigerian government has taken steps to combat the practice of black magic. and anybody who's caught practicing black magic will be sent to prison. But where there's a will, there's a way. Always. The underground market for human body parts is huge. In 2018, the International Labor Organization said that there was about 40 million people who were victims of human trafficking. Since 90% of human traffic is relation to sexual exploitation, that remaining 10% is the other category. Organ trafficking falls into that category. If in a situation where you needed a person part for a ritual, there was places to go. One of these places, these alleged ritual dens, they've been reported all over Africa. Buildings filled with persons or people and their parts. Tons of parts. The belief in magic, this firm belief in rituals and magic, is stronger than most would think. In 2018, Josephine Iyamu requested 2 women from Nigeria to come and work for her in Italy. Before they left Africa, Josephine had the 2 girls go through a juju ceremony. In that ceremony, the 2 girls were forced to give over documents as well as forced to eat chicken hearts and drink blood. From there, the girls were to jump on inflatable boats and sail to Italy. They were rescued by the Italian Navy sometime later. She, of course, is going to jail for a very long time. The girls are in housing in Italy. They believe that if they didn't come, they would be harmed. Their families would be harmed. Why? Because she told them so, and because she performed this ritual. These 2 women were from the deep Nigerian forest. It was very real to them, and it was a very real threat. If you do want to look at magic in more of a scientific light, some of the flora and fauna in Africa have natural defense systems against pests and diseases that turn produce into medicine to treat malaria. In 2001 alone, it was estimated that there was over 600,000 deaths of malaria. So you can imagine a shaman getting several of these plants together and producing a salve for pain. Some of them help you sleep. Some of them help you shit so your stomach doesn't hurt anymore. And for someone who lives deep in the forest, that's going to be magic to you. If you give them something that's a potion and they are on the brink of death from malaria, after drinking it and they get better, sure as hell going to be some magic in their eyes. You just got to kind of think about it in that aspect. Anyway, I'm rambling. I do want to say a special thanks to Dojin and Dazzling Dice. Thank you so much for your continued support. I appreciate it more than you'll ever know. As always, I'm Crystal. This is Getting Spooky, and I'm out.